Hello, hello, hello. It is again September the 13th, 2022. And to begin, trading and investing of any kind carries risk. Everything discussed here is for entertainment purposes and not to be taken as financial advice because I don't give financial advice. So let's look very quickly at what went on in the stock market today. So over the let's call it last, maybe a couple of weeks or so. Like we know we had this, this kind of pullback here. Then we got this pattern that's set up here. So let's draw this pretty little pattern. And we know that this retraces to right in here. And so after this pattern retraces, now I'm not going to get into the pattern names. I'm not going to get into any of that, but what I'm going to talk about is some other things. Like if you don't understand harmonics and you don't understand how a lot of this works, there's a lot of other tools and there's a lot of other things you can use to kind of start to spot that things will be reversing or possibly be reversing. And one of the ways that I always enjoy is I always pay attention to divergence. And so one of the things that I started to notice along with this pattern was we started to get a bunch of divergence, and we knew that CPI numbers were going to be coming out. And so, this is, basically for somebody that doesn't understand harmonics, this is, a bit of a W pattern, right? And after you get a W pattern, you get a retracement. And so, and we can look at that, we can go up here and say, okay, we're going to get a 32, a 38.2. And then the next stop would be around 61.8. And that's where we got a 61.8. So that's typically how that works. So what are other things that we could have noticed? Well, let's look. So let's go back. I didn't set these up to necessarily do these videos because I just record them. I don't edit them because I'm not that person. I don't have time for any of that. So if you notice looking backwards, let's do that. So let's look backwards at this whole move. What we started to notice is that we were having all these downward moves. If you look at the very right-hand side here, I'm on this chart over on the far right-hand side. I know it lights up everything. So if you look at all these downward moves, we started to get divergence. We continued to move down, but on less momentum. So what does that mean? Well, that means that eventually that momentum is going to possibly become positive momentum. You need other factors to make that happen. You need volume, you need a lot of other things. So the very basics of this, on this 1 hour chart, we had divergence here, right? So if we wanted to flip this back, actually, so let's go back to this main screen here and let's look at, so we were looking at the hourly then. All right, so let's do that. Let's look at the hourly, right? So we had some divergence, as we'd mentioned, right? We had this divergence here, right? Less momentum, less momentum here, right? And then we also had this push up, and then we still came back down, had a new low, but we still didn't have this. We had less momentum to even make that new low again. So then, we started to get this push back up again. But this time, if we notice right here, the momentum that it took to get to here was less momentum than it took to get to here, which is below that spot. Okay, well, that's a good sign. And then on the 1 hour, we were moving up, and so was the momentum, the legit move. That's the way that it should be, right? So then we get here. So we got around here, and then we started to get exhaustion, right? We got up here, and when we did, we notice less momentum to continue that push up. So you get less momentum. It's like flying a plane straight up in the air. Eventually, it's going to run out of steam and it's just going to turn around and it's just going to start falling. So then let's swap over to the 15-minute. So when you get divergence, similar divergence on multiple time frames, it supports your idea even more. So here, what do we got? We got a downtrend here, less momentum for the downtrend, right? Then we get this push up to here. Then we get this next push up to here. And this is roughly about what it took to get there. But then we get that pullback again, right? So we still are seeing, so this was pretty close. It wasn't, I wouldn't call that crazy divergence. But then we started to push back up and we got this first push. Then we got this second push, roughly the same amount of momentum, not quite as far. And then for the rest of this push, we never really matched the momentum from here. So we started to see this slight downward momentum all the way on this move up, right? So, that's another thing I started paying attention to. So then let's move down to the 5-minute. I don't normally look at the 10 because for me, it tends to be a bit redundant. So, let's see what we get here. Well, this whole move down, big spike to start it. The next spike to get us to this new low, it's a bit less. Then this push down was way less. So we had this and we had this crazy divergence. We pushed up. We came back and we made a new low right here. So when we made this new low, we definitely had more momentum on the 5 to make that low than we did over here. But then started to push. And when we made this push here, it's roughly the same momentum to make this push again on the 5. And then as it continued to go up, we never saw more momentum to keep it pushing up. So over time, for it to continue to go up, you've got to have momentum to have that happen. Now, a lot of times what you will get, which is what you need, it's like a roller coaster. You move up, you come down, build some speed, and you push back up, and you come down and build speed, and you just stay on trend, right? So, and that's what happened. So then, we had the CPI number come out, and this big move here, exactly what's supposed to happen, happened, and we had that pullback. So now, what are we looking at? Well, we could go through how to trade this today, but if you didn't see that coming and you missed it, there's a chance that you probably or possibly got chopped up a bit because maybe you got FOMO or, you decided, you thought it was going to go down further and you just sat in it. If you did, you probably did all right. But there were definitely places to enter the trade, right? But you just have to find those places. So we had a lot of failed patterns today to continue because we definitely had patterns that tried to take us, to try to figure, or tried to kind of turn the momentum around. But throughout the day, it just, it took a while. So the 5-minute turned, fairly quickly. And then the 15-minute, it took a bit longer to turn, right? It took us till around here. And then I don't think the 1 hour's actually turned yet. Oh, what did I do there? Yeah, I don't think the 1 hour. Yeah, so the 1 hour is still where it was, roughly. It's trying to slowly turn, but we'll see what actually happens tonight in the futures and all that. So anyway, that's what happened. That's how it works. You get a pattern that plays out and then magically, and I'm going to say air quote and say magically, news lines up with the end of the pattern and they reversed. That's how the stock market works. So where do we go from here? I don't know. We'll have to see what pattern starts to, kind of build from here. But, in the future, those are the kinds of things you want to look out for. So, and then I noticed something today. I guess we could jump back here for a minute. I started to notice that we were, once again, we had this big tumble. And then we continued to get lower lows. But if you look, on just insanely less momentum. And then the momentum even turned on the 5 while we were still getting lower lows. So that's pretty wild. And then over on the 15, I don't think that happened. I think once we got to the peak of the low, it was pretty legit. Yeah. So, I'll be keeping an eye out just to see what goes on. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what happened. I mean, there was this move that happened, and I think there were people that were anticipating this to occur, and then there's a lot of people just sitting there going, what in the hell happened today? So there you go. That's a high level of what happened. I definitely encourage people that, if you don't understand how a lot of this stuff works, that's fine. Just understand, what different candle patterns look like, what reversals look like, and how news might affect things. But, I always encourage people to go learn as much as you can. Treat it as a second job or a side hustle. But yeah, that is my recap. And yeah, I hope it helps some, maybe. If so, fantastic. If not, let me know. Let me know what you would like to see or what you want to see better. So like and subscribe and comment and all of the things. And I like making these videos. I look forward to making more. So yeah, see you next time.